I'm guessing that. Based on that, arrears had to have been in the early 1890s. When this chapter was founded, it was not in a town like we know today. Birmingham is a city that did not exist during the period of slavery. So it does not have any antebellum history like Atlanta, Chattanooga, Nashville, Memphis, New Orleans, Pensacola, Panama City, Macon. All those towns were in existence during the period of slavery. They were here during the Civil War. Birmingham does not come into existence until 6 years after the end of the Civil War. And if you're familiar with history, you know that in 1871, Reconstruction had begun in the state of Alabama. In fact, all over the South. Blacks were freed from slavery. And I don't know how many of you ever talked with your parents, your grandparents about slavery, because your grandparents would have known something about it from their parents. My Uncle Jack was born in his sister Willie Mae was born in 1899. Jack was born in 1898 because their parents got married in 1897, and their father was born in 1871. He was born in Marion the same year Birmingham got started. And he came here from Montgomery in 1893, and the Board of Education hired him as the principal of Cameron Elementary School. Have any of you ever heard of Cameron? No. Cameron was a school that was in the building just like it was Taylor at Parker High School in the 9th grade. When we went to Parker, we said we were going to the annex. The annex had been the home of Parker High School. There were about 8 little one-room shacks on the lot that is just south of Lincoln School. Y'all know where Lincoln is?
Yeah.
Well, in that property that's just south of that, Birmingham Board of Education still owns it, part of the playground that they used to use at Lincoln School. But there were 8 shacks out there that had a pot-belly stove in it, and when we got to school at 7:45 in the morning, we had to make a fire so that it would be warm in there when class started at 8 o'clock. Birmingham was founded in 1871, and so when this chapter came into existence, 29 years in the 19th century was still left, or had passed, and 25 years into the 20th century had passed, and so that's what, 45 years, 44 years. This chapter began when Birmingham was 44 years old. Second Avenue wasn't paved. When I was a boy and I came to town to Crest to buy Batman, Superman comic books when they were just coming out, 17th Street was not paved. 20th Street was paved. 19th Street was paved. 21st Street was paved. 22nd Street was paved, but the other streets were not paved. I grew up on Eden Ridge, and the only paved street we had, well, there were two paved streets. Center Street, that is now Fourth Place, that's the street that goes up on the hill and runs into Tugwell School. And when you go down the hill, it ends at 11th Avenue, and where Taylor's folks lived on 11th Avenue, that road was paved. That's all. We had running water, we had gas, we had electricity. Most folks had indoor plumbing. But in many houses that were rental houses, they had a toilet that was at the very rear of the house. And there was no heat in there. That's right. And so when you had to go for an elimination, you had to go into a cold area. And many folks had to take a bath in a number 310 tub that you had to heat water on the stove for, and you put cold water in the tub and you warmed it up by this boiling water. That's what was going on in 1925. And one of the main things that they had to worry about in 1925 was the Klan coming to disrupt their meeting because they were considering themselves uppity. Uppity. Well, that hadn't been too long ago that it passed because 1963 Bull Connor was still the police commissioner and one of the three main members of the three-man city commission that ran Birmingham. In order for the street demonstration to be successful, Martin King, Reverend Shuttlesworth, Nelson Smith, James Bevel, they never would have been successful with street demonstrations unless one thing happened first. And that was a change in the form of government from a three-man city commission to a nine-man city council with a strong mayor. Because the merchants don't let anybody fool. Business controls everything.
Yes, yes.
You got to have two things in order to be fairly safe. You got to have the right to vote. You got to have money in your pocket. The business community controlled whether the demonstrations were successful. And they were afraid of Bull Connor. Bull Connor had been elected in 1936. He had been the former announcer for Birmingham Barons baseball games. And I guess many of you have heard the things that Bull would say as he would announce the games, because the games were played at Rickwood, and I'm sure many of you have been to baseball games at Rickwood, and they had bleachers out in the right field area. And at the Birmingham Barons games, that's where black folks sat. And Bull would get on that radio, and he'd say, there's a long hit out in the right field, and the right fielder's going back, and that ball's up in the nigger bleachers. That's what he said. That made him popular with the whites. In 1963, when we were changing the form of government, there were only 4,000 black voters in all of Birmingham. That was caused by the 1901 Constitution that never had one black elected as a member of the Constitutional Convention in Montgomery. Not one black. 24 years before, there had been blacks elected to the Alabama